Hi and welcome to another installment of Shooting Star. I am really excited to come at you this week for a whole new set of questions. Last week we didn't do a Shooting Star because, if you can believe it, I didn't get dressed once last week, so no episode of Shooting Star. I'm going to dive right into the questions. I pulled these directly from Facebook. Isaac Jack Lee asked, I feel like I'm trying hard to excel in my photography, yet I'm not getting anywhere, and I find myself in a constant place of discouragement. Do you have any tips or advice as to how I can get better? Well, my only advice every single week would only be the same thing. Practice, practice, practice. There is no other way to get better at your craft than applying yourself and applying more time to it. I always use the same example, so if you've heard this before, please forgive me. I don't think Roger Federer wakes up the day of the French Open and says, oh, you know, I think I'm just going to go out and win a championship today. I actually think it's months of training and practicing. In fact, the day of the actual competition, he gets his racket and he goes up and he warms up in the morning. I think that's dedication and the sign of a true professional at what they do. So if you want to get better, practice. I know it's probably not the easiest thing, but it definitely pays off in the long run. Jillian Zamora asks, how did you learn to do wedding album layouts? Is this a topic you would mind covering? No, I don't mind covering, and my answer is really short. In the beginning, I had so many things to learn when I started the business. I had Photoshop, I had Bridge, Lightroom. I mean, at the time I was using Bridge, but now it would be Lightroom. I had QuickBooks. I had so many things to learn, and I just decided in the beginning, you know what? I have too much to learn in such a little amount of time. So I started outsourcing. When the opportunity came for my very first album to be produced, I outsourced to a great company, and I actually like it. So what happens is the clients will choose their favorites for their wedding album. I get them, I make sure they're all edited continuously so that it can tell a continuous story. So if there's certain black and white photos, I make sure the spread would be black and white, however that time ends up coming. Then what I do is I FTP those to my designer, and she lays them out nicely for me and lays them out in a slideshow form so that I could send them to the clients and they could proof upon seeing. So that's my entire process, and it's actually really easy and I love it. And I think it's a direct benefit to my clients because they get the album faster, it's streamlined, and the designer is quite frankly better at designing than I am. I'm a photographer, she is a designer. I think that we could both play to our strengths to the benefit of our client. Leslie Ann at Photo Finish asked, I am wondering, what is your contract with digital files? Do you only offer digital files to weddings and engagements? Do you give them to portrait sessions as well? Well, at this point in my career, I'm really just focusing on weddings. So I'll apply this to this question how I would apply it generally. I have 4 collections for my wedding photography. The top 2 collections include the digital negatives, and the bottom 2 collections do not. If the client would like to order the Disca digital negatives a la carte, they're more than welcome to. So that's the answer to that question. Vicky Bartel asked, and I actually get Vicky's question quite a bit, I'm wondering about your process about the same-day slideshows at weddings. I'd like to know, 1, when do you start working on them and where? 2, what programs do you use? 3, how many images do you include? And 4, where and how do you display this slideshow at the reception? So I'm going to dive right into this and kind of quick up because I'm talking too long. Here we go. When do I work on them? So this is what happens. I shoot all day. I'm not focused on the slideshow. I'm just shooting just to shoot. I shoot both RAW and JPEG. After the grand entrance and the first dance, what happens is people are immediately served their first entree, which is usually the soup or the salad. At that point in time, JD has set up a station for me right outside of the door or in a room adjacent to where the reception is being held. So where we can hear what's going on, and if need be, we can jump right into the room. I have it set up so much that I have a chair, I have my laptop computer, and it's plugged into a wall. I get the JPEGs and I just drag the folder to a viewing folder. I'm not dragging all the images over. I'm just viewing the images on the card, and I'm selecting the JPEGs that I want to use. Once I select the JPEGs that I want to use, I drag them over to a folder that I already designed on my computer before the wedding day. What programs am I using? Basically, I try to shoot best possible in camera. If the photos look good outside of the camera, I'm not touching them all. If I want to make smaller minor adjustments, maybe change it to black and white or apply like an action that'll make it a little punchier, I will do that in Photoshop. But other than that, I could pretty much just use the slideshow from the images straight out of the camera. How many images am I including? An average slideshow for me at the actual wedding would be around 35 to 40 images. Remember, I know the images that I want in my mind to take. I get 2 to 3 of her preparing during the wedding. I get 1 of her getting into her dress. I get 2 of the first look. I get 3 of them together. I get images of the dad walking her down the aisle, the dad giving her away. I get images of him looking at her during the ceremony, her looking at him during the ceremony. I get their first kiss. I get all these predetermined pictures in my mind to go into this so I can streamline it. So I was like, do I have a shoe shot? Do I have a dress shot? Do I have a first kiss shot? All of these things are already itemized. So when you're really strategic in how you approach the slideshow, it no longer becomes an overwhelming thing. When and how do you display the slideshow at the reception? Basically, I take my laptop and I will put it in the reception. I usually keep it by the bar, and there's a long running joke that is not really mine, but I'll use it anyway. The more people drink, the better my slideshow gets. Ba-dun-ching, I'll be here all week. Anyway, so basically, if I don't put it by the bar, if guests actually have like a photo booth at the reception, I'll place it by the photo booth because photos attract photos, and as people are waiting in line, it gives them an opportunity to look at the photos and experience the pictures same day the way that the bride and groom would. Now, the benefit of this is that people are actually seeing the pictures in real time, something that happened just maybe a couple hours before. And as the bride is walking around the room, her cousins, bridesmaids are going up to her and they're saying, wow, you looked so pretty. Nothing goes farther to a bride's personal fulfillment and her experience on her wedding day than having her friends validate the decision she made to hire me as her photographer. And better yet, anybody can apply the same principle to their own wedding photography and their client's wedding experience. I've spoken far too much, but I hope you all have a great week. Thank you so much. Stay fabulous.